So hello. So dearest listeners, if there was a pause, it's because I'm sitting here with my arms in the sky, trying to hug my best friend through the Zoom screen, sitting down with the amazing goddess Leanne Maskell. It has been 6 months since we last saw each other. 6 months ago, I jumped on a flight to Bangkok thinking I would see you when I came back a few weeks later. Also tried to invite you out to Bangkok. And next thing you know, not only were you not here when I came back, you stayed away. And so this is the sit down conversation. Is what happened? How are you? I have a million questions. I cannot wait to dive into this. But first and foremost, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It is such an honor and a joy. And I've been listening to your podcast driving around Australia, and it's like having a piece of you with me. And so thank you for doing this.
I'm
And I can listen to myself on your podcast when I'm driving around.
I love that. I want to ask Leanne, because I know, but listeners out there don't, that this is not your first rodeo with Australia. You've been there before. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the first experience and then maybe the second experience? Because I know they're very different, right?
Yes. So I'm 33 now. When I was 21 years old, I came over here. I went to Sydney first, and God, back then I went back and forth so many times on like whether I should come and what I should do. I came for 3 weeks eventually and did like a road trip. And then as soon as I got here, I was like, I love Australia. I want to live here. And I was doing modeling then, so I came over, did modeling, and then once I had moved to Sydney and was doing amazing modeling for amazing brands, I was so happy. I had a really bad mental health crisis, ironically, because I was like, oh my God, how am I going to stay here? This is so amazing. I'm going to have to go back to England, and then I'm going to have to get like a real job. I'm going to have like a terrible life for the rest of my life. Like, this was my 1 year of fun and it's almost done. Oh my goodness. And then I ended up going to Byron Bay on a photo shoot from Sydney. And I met a surfer coming out of the ocean who said, come and live with me. And I was like, oh, the universe. Yay, okay. Disney ending. And then we did a partner visa together, and then we broke up. So then I had to come back a year later, which was incredibly difficult and incredibly heartbreaking. But very nice, because I came to your classes, Josie. You helped me heal a little bit when I came back. And yeah, you reminded me there are like still people in London that are similar vibes. And then I hadn't planned to come back to Australia really. I had actually had flights there that I changed probably 5 times and then I
Yeah.
cancelled.
No, because I remember that. I remember throughout the last few years, you were like, okay, so I booked this thing in November. I'm supposed to go to Australia. Not sure if I'm going to go. And then November would come around and you'd be like, well. Right?
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's too much. It's too, like, I think it was so hard to come back because I just, even though I have now, since coming here like 10 years ago, where I had no idea what I would do with my future at all, and every day was like terror. In the last 8 years, I've done a lot of different things and I've returned a completely different person. But I kept being like, oh, I would love to go back to Australia, and I could have come and lived here at any point, really. I couldn't like kind of technically work here, but I could have come on a holiday because I was working remotely. And then there was Brexit in the UK, which amazing. It's so crazy because before I would have had to do farm work for, I believe, 3 months to be able to stay for 1 extra year. So you could get a working holiday visa until the age of 30.
On a
And then
farm?
yeah, you had to work, you could get 1 year without working on the farm, which is what I did. And then I did a partner visa instead of the second year. So amazing looking back, like how things work out. But also because I didn't think that I would be able to handle working on a farm. I was like, I give
So,
up.
sorry, I'm just so perplexed about this. So basically, in Australia, in order to have this visa amazing experience, one needs to work the land,
Yeah,
maintain the land.
yeah, you do.
Okay. Wow,
It's a
literally
great,
on a farm, because you're saying it so
yeah.
matter of factly, and I'm sitting here going, what? What's up with the
Yeah,
farm?
you literally have to go work on a farm for another year. They're like, you go pick some blueberries out there. They're very like It's a whole thing. Like a lot of my friends have done it, and it's really hard. But it's really hard because then you're completely reliant on like the farmer to sign off your hours, etc. And so yeah, that seemed really hard for me. I was like, I will go crazy if I try and pick blueberries for 3 months. Um, I'm just not strong enough. I'm not cut out for the fun. Actually, now I'm like, I should have done it. It's really fun. But yeah, back then I was like, no. But what happened, and it was amazing. Uh, Brexit, completely unexpectedly, I was actually also working in immigration law then, but they changed the deal with England and Australia. So they've made it that you can come to Australia now until the age of 35, and I am 33 instead of 30. And then they also made it so that you can come for 3 years until then, and you don't have to do any farm work.
Oh my God.
No.
Okay.
Like, so I think that's been the case for a couple of years now. So I kind of was aware of it, but I was like, again, I was like, oh, I was like, I don't want to like open that box again because it was so hard to leave. And I was like, I'm such a different person now. Like, and I built this business in England and had so much going on in England that I just never really found the right time. And like it seemed too scary to come back here because I knew that I would probably do exactly what I've done, which was like, lol, goodbye. See you all later. I'm staying in Australia forever. So yeah. And now I'm back. And yeah, and then I just booked a ticket in January. I have become really burnt out from looking at a screen for every single day of my life, from 6 o'clock in the morning until midnight. Uh, and as you said, Josie, you went away to the sun and you tried to convince me a lot to come with you. And I was like, I just want to go to Australia. And then it came to New Year's Eve. And it's funny because if you had been there, I probably would have been at your house, but you were not there. So I was like, I have no one to hang out with except my dog that I look after half the week from Borrow My Doggy and work because I was making a really stressful course that I had made 3 times over. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And then I talked to my friend Ronnie, who lives in Melbourne. She said, I'm going on holiday for 2 weeks, so you can come over and stay in my house. And I was like, yeah. I was like, do you know what? Yeah, that's a sign. I'll take it. And the woman had messaged me also because she had my book because in Australia they've made it so that the GPs can diagnose ADHD, which is the area I was working in England. And she said, because of this big change, like we think there's going to be a lot of people needing training. And I was like, great, that is a sign, and I'm taking it. I'm coming to Melbourne. She was like, what? And I came to
100%.
Melbourne.
You're like, I no longer need to help the land. I need to help the mind of the people. Yes,
Exactly. I was
I'm
like,
coming. I
the
can calm the
universe,
mind. Yes.
the use. I don't know how, but everything I've done in the last 5 years have randomly and bizarrely led me to a point where actually everything I've done is really useful for Australia right now. So
No,
that's nice.
100%. And I just want to, this image that just flew into my head is like, it's kind of like you're the Mary Poppins of ADHD, as in like you appear for the people in need. So this thing of like, Australia's calling. And, lots of other people, they live their life in this kind of, oh, but, it's the dream of the beach and the freedom and the this that's calling me. And here you are. And those things were calling. But what actually ended up, pulling you and confirming and actually, you accepting the call was that there was an actual need for you. This whole sense of feeling a deep sense of responsibility for, for what you do and what you add to this world. I can so relate. So that's for me as well. It would be like, oh yeah, this is all very nice, beaches and yoga and outdoors. But actually, oh, you need me? Ta-ta! I will arrive. So for me, it makes complete sense. So anyway, so you packed up a bag thinking you would go for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I think it was 2 months initially, 6 weeks. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then what happened?
I had my midlife crisis. Well, it's very interesting because I didn't really have much of a plan. I just was so depressed by that point. I kind of had this moment of being like, oh my God, I can't like do this like anymore. Like this bloody course I've made over and over and over again. And one of the last week's lessons in that course was called Atlas Personality, where it's like I believe it's the god Atlas, the Greek god, where
Hmm.
he got the whole world on his shoulders, and the whole lesson is about how you don't have to have the whole world on your shoulders, and like, if you're not happy, then it's very difficult to help other people. And I was like, I need to go. I'm gonna leave. I was like, oh, I can just do what I want to be happy. And first of all, I've got an assistant like that I work with remotely, Sarah. So I said to her, can you help me find where to go? I looked at loads of different like retreats, and I was like, oh, I need a completely different place to live. I was like, I need to go somewhere warm, that is not here and that is safe. And I felt really scared about, my ability to like survive and leave the house. I was like, I convinced myself that if I did go traveling, I would just be at home in a different country looking at the computer all day. So we kind of went back and forth. She came up with a few ideas, and then I said, I'm just gonna go to Australia. And then there is such a thing called astrocartography.
There is indeed.
Yeah, so basically it says I should live in Australia. It's like, I don't know, you can probably explain it better than me, but there is something about this country and this place in particular in Byron Bay, which is like, it just feels like home. So I just booked a ticket here, and I talked to the employees I had at the time. We had like the 6-week course coming up. And I remember crying so much and saying to our wonderful employee, Charlie, that I've booked Australia. And I thought, okay. She was like, of course. And I was like, okay. And they're so amazing in helping to change the times of the courses so that I could actually run them in Australia. I was running one at 5 o'clock in the morning here, and another one at like 7 o'clock at night at first. And I came to Australia, and so the plan was to come for like the duration of that course. So I'd have 2 weeks at my friend Ronnie's house when she went traveling, and then 4 weeks in an Airbnb. And then I didn't really have any more plans. As soon as I got here, I was like, I'm never leaving Australia. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to stay here for as long as I possibly can. And um, then things moved quite quickly. So, a friend of mine who lived in America, but she had previously lived in Byron Bay as well, she came back very out of the blue. So, as soon as she came back to Byron Bay, I booked a ticket here. I had previously been a bit scared of coming here because I was like, yeah, I had a relationship here before that had ended, and it's quite a small place, and I didn't know it anymore, and you need a car to get around, etc. But my friend came back, so I was like, hey, that's good enough reason for me. I'm going, and it's insane because when I came up here, so the Airbnb I was staying at in Melbourne, I said to the woman who was renting it to me, who that woman wasn't even there, but I said to her by text, oh, by the way, I'm going away for a week, so like, I won't be here. And she said, oh, we've got a house in Byron Bay. I was like, do you? Can I rent that house then instead of this? And she said, yes. And then I rented that house, and I left, and I was like, cool, I'm going to stay here. Like, I'm moving to Byron Bay next week. I went back and got my things and came back to Byron and moved in this like insanely, I can't actually put into it, like the most beautiful house I've ever even been in, let alone lived in. In the trees and the nature everywhere, and these amazing birds, and it like overlooked this huge, gorgeous garden. And my friend lived with me for a while, and it was just such a bizarre experience because I didn't even intend to really come to Australia at all. Like 2 months before, and then suddenly I was there and my whole life had changed. I got Sarah, my assistant, to help me hand my notice into my flat in London, and then I just have no belongings anymore except 2 boxes of journals that are now at my dad's house. So that's what I did. And now I'm here.
Absolutely incredible. And I want to ask, so, the decision to give up on your flat here in London, and especially because, one thing is to let go of your flat, but to let all of your belongings go is a whole nother ball game, right? What do you remember some faults you had around that? Like, when did the idea, the epiphany of ha ha, freedom awaits? That thing of going, okay, one thing is I'm going to give up my lease, but also actually I'm going to let it all go. Like, what were some faults you were having? Like, what prompted that? Anything at all you remember?
Oh, When I arrived in Melbourne, I was just like in shock at myself. And then when Ronnie went skiing, I was like in her house, which was opposite the beach. And, I think that changing my environment helped me so much is what I knew I had to do because I said if I go away for a week or if I even went to like a different country, etc., that I didn't feel 100% safe and didn't know very well, I would just end up still on the computer, like nonstop, because it was safe. And so I had to go somewhere where I knew like the outside world would feel better than the inside world, which was really difficult because in London, I think I'd become basically frozen. Like it was so scary to leave the flat at all because there was people getting mugged all the time and like people riding by and masks and taking people's phones. And it was just like and dark and scary and horrible and so easy to never leave. And so when Ronnie left, I was like in her, and also the studio that I rented in London was tiny. It was tiny, it was lovely, but it was like a tiny prison cell that I did not leave for 3 years. Like it was lovely, but at various points there were like holes in the roof and it was raining inside, etc. So then I found myself in Ronnie's gigantic, beautiful house opposite the beach in Brighton in Australia and just kind of in shock, maybe for 2 weeks straight. And I was just like wearing like underwear and like sunbathing naked in the garden because of like complete privacy in this like huge house with like beautiful just space everywhere and sunshine. And I was like, I am never leaving. I was like, I think as soon as I got there, I was just like, no, like I remember my body feeling like it had literally come back online. Like I could feel my own body again. I was like hungry and wanted to eat food, and I was like, I'm gonna go get some pasta and like go to sit on the beach and watch the sunset and go to a yoga class. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm at a yoga class. I went rollerblading on the beach. Actually, I woke up and one of my friends and texted me saying, "Oh, I'm engaged," and I was like, "Oh, great!" And this is exactly the kind. Like, obviously, I'm very happy also for you, Jason. But there's all of the things that when I was living in London, I felt like everyone is like kind of moving on with their life, and they're all like getting engaged or married or having children and buying houses, etc. And I'm like, I don't, even though obviously from the outside people would think like, oh, Leanne's running a business and doing all this cool stuff. But like in the reality, I was just like, oh, I'm just living in my flat on my computer all day, every day, and I'm gonna die alone here in my flat. And the only people that would care are maybe some people on LinkedIn and you. But yeah, so I think when I had that message from my friend, I was obviously happy for her, but then I was like, right, I'm gonna go rollerblading, and I went rollerblading down the beach in Melbourne, and like, I was just so happy. I rollerbladed to yoga, and I was like, this is the most bizarre, random, like the complete opposite of my life in the UK. And then I think when my friend came back as well, and coming up here again, her family lived in an area where you have to get a ferry, and they live on kind of like an island of farmers. And we were on the beach, and there was no one on the beach. And I think I had just not been in an environment like that for so long, where uh, like it was like awe and like beauty because it was just a gigantic beach with literally no one on it. And I just stood there with my mouth open for like 10 minutes, being like, oh my God. And so when I was kind of in that zone, everything else became it was very tough because well, the belonging side of things it was a bit difficult practically because I was trying to manage it and trying to figure it out and trying to also like help um maybe like if my family wanted to like sell some things off and like coordinate the logistics of that. And I think Sarah, thank goodness for Sarah and my dad, they did a great job between them, but yeah, really hard. And then I think giving up the flat as well, like it was sad, but I was also like, oh my, like Sarah said to me, you were, because I was going to buy a house last year, and she was like, you were gonna leave London anyway. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right, actually. Like, I'm leaving. I was like, if I moved back to London and I would move to England, I would go to a different place anyway. So that made it a bit easier. Belongings wise, I was like, I don't want anything. I was like, I don't need anything. Like, they're just things. The more by far the most difficult bit was well, people. but in particular, like the company, ADHD Works, because I had to let all of our employees go. And that is obviously really difficult to do, but also really necessary, I think, for me, because my heart was like not in running the company. And so therefore, like it's very difficult for employees to be in the company if I'm like, I don't want to be in this company. I'm like, I just want to be in the sun and warm and defrost. So that bit was like really difficult and required definitely the most thought and consideration, but also it was definitely needed from me because I was like completely burning out. And then that meant that the company itself, we also were stopping doing like one-to-one coaching inside the company and making like a directory on the website instead. And now there are like two contractors. I said very clearly to them both, like, you have me as not a manager. Like you just know what to do, you do the thing, and like you get on with it. And we work really well on that basis. God knows what I'll do if anything ever happens to them, but like I just kind of completely surrendered and released control of it. And in particular, like the money has definitely like we probably the company now makes a quarter of what it made before, but I really could not care less because I'm so happy. So I'm like, it's fine. I really don't care. And I think that's a really important thing I see in everyone that I work with, like to know when there is enough and then to like enjoy your life because I was working so much and like earning a lot of money theoretically, but also being like, what is the point of all of this? Because all I was spending it on was vaping. So,
Wow. What an
and sorry, and you, I obviously really, really miss you and my dad and my family, etc. Like that, obviously, also that was a really difficult thing as well. Yeah, the people, the hard bit, but also it's nice that you guys can all come out here and I'll come back at some point.
No, 100%. And thank you so much for for sharing so openly about your experience because I think this, I mean, not obviously, this is not just something I think, this is something I know, and this is something you know. And, our environment is everything. Our environment is our soil. And like even the most beautiful seed, the most robust plant cannot grow in soil that has no more nutrients, right? And so certain soil works for certain plants. And then there's just soil that, one person's medicine is another person's poison. And to recognize, and that's always the thing in life, right? Because it's a really good, even if other people are like, oh, okay, their thing might not be that, they work online and, their sense of safety may not be their physical home, but it can be other things, right? And then it's relationships. They know it's not the right environment anymore. But yet they cannot leave, right? Because it's what feels safe, right? We all do that. It could be a job. It could be anything. And so it is, so courageous. And also, I also know, like, I want to call it courageous, but at the same time, I also know that what you did from a space of, having hit a very deep part within yourself of going like, well, I don't exactly know how upwards and onwards looks, but I know what bad feels like. and you hit something that went, there's gotta be more to life than this. Right. And
Yeah.
so, and even if it was just a sliver of a lightness going, maybe that, because you had, although Australia round one had been so intense and difficult towards the end, you had still experienced also great joy and great love and great feeling of being in your body. And I think that thing you said where you were like, all of a sudden my body came back online online, haha, my
Oh my God, yeah.
but this thing of like all of a
Right.
sudden you could feel your body. You weren't trying to sit there mindfulnessing your way or like through therapy going like, let me be in touch with my body. It came on, it came back on because your environment, you were in the right soil that works for you, right? And also this thing, like this experience that you mentioned of standing on the beach and no one else is there, and it's just so vast and it's so open, and the word you used is awe, like, because again, that makes you feel not just connected to your own body, it makes you feel connected to something so much bigger than us, right? Like our whole planet, our whole universe. And I can so relate because we so forget, right? And I, I love where I live in London, but that thing of like when I find myself somewhere in nature, I feel exactly the same as you. And I feel a deep sense of grief because I don't ever want to leave it. So I really get that pull. And then the fact that you were like, because I also think part of you letting go of the flat and all of your belonging as well, it might also have been, could it have been that part of you were like, I'm going to make it impossible for me to even think about returning to that place. Which makes so much sense, like just so incredibly powerful. And also that finger, finally, we cannot think our way into something better. We have to just follow the tiny sliver of it might be, it could be. And then once you follow that slither, you'll get to the other side of the mountain and there might be a beach awaiting you. There might be something else. There might be something bad, but then you'll go to somewhere else. The point is you have to lift the question. And, that change of environment is just, anyway, just so incredibly powerful. I always find you incredibly inspiring, but I'm so happy that you are here today, not just for me as my amazing friend, but for the whole world. You've created this incredible company. You've created so many incredible books, all the work that you do, but really the main thing is how you live your life. And so to come on here today and share so openly, for me, that's one of the greatest gifts we can give to this planet, through lived experience, because, we are not here to get life right. We're not here to win at life. And that thing where you were saying like, okay, so great, like on paper, this all looked amazing. And yet I was dying a slow but surely death, and so many people will resonate this, this, what you said just now and what you lived and what you continue to live will inspire and empower everyone else out there to go, okay, if Leanne can do that, they might not pick up their bags and go, adios, but they might just today think there's got to be a better way. And I'm going to start looking for that slither of lightness. Oh, absolutely amazing, gorgeous. And also, I mean, this is obvious, but I think it's nice, and it might be nice for you to think about as well, when you look back over your shoulder over the last 6 months. What are some of the things that, some statements that you would say about yourself? Some statements, some really positive, empowering statements, some qualities where you're like, I hoped I had a little bit of this, but oh my God, now I look back, I have evidence that this is true. This is who I am. This is what I'm capable of. This is what the universe is capable of. This is what we as a collective are capable of. What are some statements?
Oh my God. Thank you, Josie. Oh, magic. Magic is real. Like what you said about the sliver of hope. I think a huge thing is realizing that we often know what would make us happy. But for the last few years, since running the business, various people that I'm working with, like the accountant, etc., would be like, okay, what are the business goals? Because everyone else in the business needs you as the leader to have goals. And I'm like, I don't know. Like my goals are just to relax. Like my goals are to, I don't know, what should we put as the goals? Because I didn't do it for money. I kind of did it to help people. And like you said, it's like the need. So and I really didn't want to put the pressure on myself and to trap myself into like expectation because I knew that had made me feel bad. And then, but like the only thing I said is I was always saying like, oh, I just want to sit in the sun with a book. And like that is so ridiculous because I'm like, that's actually a valid goal. It's like your goal, whatever that is sound like, even last week I had the same one again where I was like, what do I do with my days? And I was like, oh, I always will ask people myself, like, what would you do if you won like £1 billion in the lottery? And I would say like, I used to say like, oh, I would just do the same thing that I'm already doing. And I was like, no, I probably get a massage like every day. And then I was like, wait. I was like, then Leanne, go get a massage, go get another. Last week I had 2 massages. Like, go live your life instead of like think that you should not be doing that because that's not what people do. The same with like sit in the sun and read a book. Like if that was my goal, that's actually not that difficult of a goal to achieve. And so that's been my goal for the last 3 years, and I haven't managed because I didn't really take it seriously. It was like that's not like a business goal, or then I would link up random things to that, being like, okay, when we've done X, Y, and Z, then we could do this. And so I was like, when I've got someone running the company for me, then I can do this. And so it was a ironic thing to realize, like, oh, I actually can just leave. Like, and actually, what's crazy is I went to a talk by Liz Gilbert 2 years ago when I was in a really bad place myself, and it really helped me. And she got us to write a permission slip down. And on that permission slip, I wrote, Leanne Maskell has got full permission to like basically strip off the company to be whatever it is it needs to be so that you can just go to Australia and sit in the sun and read a book. And I'm like, I did that. Like that, I did the visualization, and like so many things have happened in the last 6 months that cannot be explained. They can't be explained. Like, the whole GP thing, etc., the GPs in Australia, that is a huge change that is completely random. But also, like, I went on a date with someone. The first person I went on a date with was someone that is a GP in that training, and there's 100 of them in the area I'm in, like, very big state. And so that person was able to like share with me what they were doing, and then I messaged, and now I've got a meeting with like the government. I met with the government where I am and being like, actually, you should do this for your GPs. And I was like, I've done your training for you, blah, 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 blah. Here are the problems with like just such random things have happened like that they cannot be explained. Like the fact that my friend came back from New York at the same time after 8 years of us both being in different places, like it's not explainable by any other means than that you just have to, what you said earlier, like you just have to trust the step in front of you and learn how to be in your body again. And I found an amazing woman. She was called Emma Jean. I found found her like outside the shop. I did a children's clothing shop. I didn't even go into, and she said, "Oh, somehow we were talking," and she said that she teaches meditation, one-on-one. And I was like, "Oh, I want to do meditation classes." So I've been going to see her a lot, and she's amazing. And she said to me this quote that I will always say, which is, I am an adult and I can do what I want and I can leave any situation whenever I want. And I was like, I'm gonna get that tattooed on my arm. Like, I'm an adult and I can do what I want to. I can leave a situation whenever I want to, and I can do what I want to, and I don't have to explain myself to anybody. And I was like, so that is like the mantra that I'm carrying with me every day.
Oh my God, that is so fantastic and so amazing. And I'm so, and also because again, we only hear what we want to hear when we are ready to hear it. So the fact that you're like, this is a good one. Yeah. For me, right. No, but that demonstrates everything about you, because as much as we can, we can laugh about it, in the end of the day, like, most of what we do is as human beings, especially even though on paper we are an adult, we're all just little children running around, right? Going like, where's home? Where do I belong? How do I get back home? Even if home was actually terrible and terrifying and scary as shit, we long to belong, we long to attach, and we always attach back to what we experience as children, right? So that statement of going, I am an adult, it's a way of parenting our inner child, and some way of telling that little child like, hey, I'm here for you now. New mama is in charge.
Now to be happy.
Do you know what I mean? And that's it, because it creates that deep sense of trust from within yourself, that you've got your own best interests at heart, and that no matter what happens, you won't harm this little child the way that she or he may have been harmed intentionally or accidentally by, parents, society, etc. So it's so powerful. I absolutely love it, because there's another, I'm going to give you a little mantra. There's another one that says, you're allowed to change your mind anytime, any place. You're allowed to walk away from anything or anyone, even if it once saved you. And, it's that same thing, right? Like, so, like, everything in nature is always changing. We are ever changing beings in an ever changing world. And yet, so often it feels so impossible. I just want to tell my little Bangkok story because it's really similar to yours. So it's interesting that both you and I went to a really sunny country that are really close to each other, relatively speaking, right? We went to sunny places around the same time. Whilst you were in Australia on that beach going, this is vast and open and nature is incredible and what the fuck am I doing in London, right? I was swimming on the top of a building. And, so that was my modern city life nature experience. I was in water. There was nothing but the clear blue sky above me and the sun rising. And as I was swimming in that incredibly cold water, but with the sun rising, I looked up into the sky and I was like, oh, I can't believe this is my life. And then I was like, and then, when your heart sinks a little bit and you're like, oh, but I have to go back to inverted commas, real life. And then I stopped myself and I was like, what the fuck is real life? Like, Josie, you've got money in the bank. You have come to London at the age of 16. You have always looked after yourself financially. You've always created whatever you needed to create. Like, this can be the real life. Like, you don't have to go back. I had the same thought. And then I got upset with myself because I was like, I really don't want to go back. Like, I was like, why am I going back? Why am I going back to London? And so it's really interesting that, not just interesting, but just such a synchronicity between us that we are, you on the beach, me on the top of a thing. And you're like, I'm here to stay. And you put your staff into the beach, connecting with the land.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving. And I'm up there. And I was like, no, like I am gonna go back, but I am gonna work out a plan to, I don't know if I will move there, but I definitely want to spend a good couple of months every year in the sun. So and again, like you, in a specific place. Astrocartography is a real thing. Tell us a little bit about the astrocartography. How did you get into that? I love it.
It was a friend said to me, do you know of it? And then sent me a link. There's like a link on the website, and then you can put in ChatGPT, and it said Australia, Portugal, and Brighton in England. So I was like, I remember seeing it, and I was like, I'm leaving. I'm going to Australia at the time, and then I didn't book it. And I think it's all of those things that you said, where it's also so situational, and like I've got very into surfing. Well, I'm learning to surf, but like the surfing metaphors and stuff, like because like that's what like as soon as I got to Australia, like my whole life completely changed. I felt like a completely different person, and I was like, oh, your environment has got such a huge, huge, huge impact on like what you're saying about the soil, but like I think it's finding somewhere where you feel good, like it's not rational. Like it's not a rational thing that you can explain, but it's somewhere where you feel like even safe. Like here in Byron Bay, it's like people don't lock their doors. People are so nice. Like yeah, it's just amazing to feel like safe and also driving like but it's those fears that sometimes we don't even realize what the fears are like and there's been a huge amount of pain in the last 6 months as well of different kind of what are called growing pains and healing and all of this kind of stuff. But one big one was that I've realized like oh like what you're saying about the parent-child thing. Because when I first came here, I was like, oh, I'll get a car at some point, and I hadn't driven for like 8 years. I'm not very good at driving, etc. And then and then I had like I think I had a huge argument with someone and realized like, oh, I need to go get my own car. Like, oh, it's because I'm like recreating the exact almost like dynamics of like my childhood and what I'm used to, etc. And so I went and booked a car. And I was so scared. And I was like, but the day I drove it was like the best day ever because I was like, I'm an adult and I can drive a car. But yeah, it's kind of I don't know why I share this, but to say that uh things happen when they're meant to happen. Like, you know what you were saying earlier, when you mentioned about bravery, like it seems brave from the outside, but I think a lot of what I do is kind of just taking the next step that is in front of me and not really thinking about the consequences too much. And just like kind of following it and trusting it and trying my best to do that. But we'll end up where we're meant to be. And so the same with you, Josie, because I think it's that like we get little signs as the time goes on. But yeah, I often will look around here in Australia and just be like, I cannot believe that I'm here, like at all. And so I'm like, if I'm here, and like the fact that yeah, like even the visa and all of that kind of stuff, and like that, it's amazing because 8 years ago, that wouldn't even legally have been possible. Like you never could have predicted this stuff, so you just have to trust day by day.
No, I love that. And that is so true. Trusting in the timing. And so it's also this thing of like, yes, you could have forced yourself to get on that flight 3 years ago, right? But you know, the visa thing might not have been possible. Like so many things, the outer circumstances would actually not have been the ideal environment for you. And also your inner environment had not yet reached a time, had not yet reached a point of kind of no return, going like, well, not going back to that, right? So, and I think this is so key, especially for listener, because exactly like you said, Leanne, you know, from the outside, it can be like, oh my God, just be like Leanne and pick up your brave sword and gallop into the galaxy, right? And then if you're listening and you're looking at your own life and you can go, oh no, what, you know, am I such a failure? Like, why have I not yet left this person or that situation or whatever? And it's like, no, like, like the last thing to ripe on a fruit tree is the fruit, right? Like everything has its time. And I think this is so beautiful, like you said, because the point is, so as much as it's frustrating, in a way that's a good thing. As much as you might get to a point where you're like, oh, now I'm super anxious and super depressed, those are great things, because those things at some point will move something within you, right? You know, like again, most of the things I've ever done in my life, and it's the same thing with you, where people are like, oh, you were so brave, you did this thing. I'm like, yeah, but what do you do if you are in a burning building? Don't you just jump out the window? Like, so
Oh, that's so good.
you're not taking anything away from your
Exactly.
experience or mine, but
It
I'm
wasn't
like,
like you were like, I'm gonna plan to climb up this building and set it on fire and jump out. It's like,
right, but that's
eh,
it. Yeah.
oh, I was gonna say, something that you told me. I was just laughing because I thought of you telling me it like 3 years ago, and I remember thinking like this is never going to end. And you're so amazingly helpful because you were like the only person that approached in this way. I had a very bad breakup that I kept getting into over and over and over and over again, and then called you up crying about it one day, and you were like, you said, yeah, you'll repeat the pattern as many times as you need to until it's broken. And I was like, and you were like, and each time there'll be one tiny thing that's different, and that's what you have to celebrate and focus on. I was like, okay. And it helps so much because it is so true. It's like we just have to, and we think these things, we think we have control over these things, and we really don't. Like, we just try to put the thoughts and meaning to them after they've happened. And we're like, oh,
Yeah, no, it makes so much sense. Yeah, exactly. Now they fit neatly into my bookshelf. The bookshelf of the story of me.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
sometimes,
quote from 2019 will fit them perfectly here.
exactly. And why did number 35 try to sneak into number 2? 35 is a 35.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God, this has been so amazing. I'm just thinking if there's actually, let's keep it lighthearted for now, for a moment. Some things that would surprise people about living life in Australia, apart from the farm experience that I just loved. You're like, well, all of us have to go to the farm, like matter of factly, and I'm like, what's this farm situation? Tell
Oh
me.
my God, I will share with you some facts about so here in Byron Bay, it's like all in nature. It's like a very magical place. And I met someone who's volunteering at a homeless shelter, and I was like, oh my God, I was like, oh, I should volunteer. I was like, where do I volunteer? Oh my God. Like anyway, and then I got overwhelmed and emailed a few different places, and there's a place next to me. So I actually live in a place called Mullumbimby, which is like it's got a little mountain there, and then you drive in, it's like a mountain. It's so lovely. Um, and anyway, next to me there's something called the Paddock Project, and it's like a little kind of van with coffee in it and a really cute shop and like all these plants and stuff. Anyways, I messaged them because they also employ people that are disabled. And you can also go and volunteer there. And I don't really know what you do volunteering there. But anyway, they messaged them and she replied and said, yeah, come down on Monday at 9. I was like, okay. She said, bring a hat. I was like, I don't have a hat, but I'll turn up. So I turned up and I was so scared. I was terrified. I don't know why it was so scary. And I was kind of like, hello. And they're like, hello, hello. And I just had to sit down with like the other volunteers. And then they were kind of like planning out the day. And they said, and I didn't really know what was going on, but they said to me, like, okay, go to the shed and get a machete. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't actually know what a machete looks like, actually. I was like, the only thing I know about machetes is that in England, people get stabbed with them on my street. And I was like, is that like a chainsaw? I was like, I don't think I should be holding a machete because I am not very like coordinated, and I filled in no forms here today. I was like, I should not be doing this, and they were like, yeah, it's fine, go get them. And everyone was kind of going off, and they ended up not having enough machetes. So they gave me a steak knife. I had a little pink steak knife, and I was like, okay.
Ready
But
or not?
had like the best day ever. I was just like, what earth is going? It's like so amazing because especially compared to England and like I guess the work I do with ADHD as well. There's so many bloody people on the internet intellectualizing it and being like, and the people I work with, they're also scared of hurting people and being like, oh, what if I cause harm? Like, and I'm like, here, I don't know. They're like, go get a machete. And they don't even know my name, like my full name. Like, and then they said, we're going to manage the banana trees. And I was like, what does managing the banana trees mean exactly? Hello, training. Here it is. And it's like, we'll show you how to, and I was like, okay. And I basically just had to cut leaves off a banana tree. Like we're basically cutting down banana trees and like cutting the leaves off and then putting them in the plants, to like reforest it.
Oh yes, that's a thing. Oh sorry, you know
Yeah.
I love nature. I heard this before that the banana leaf can be really helpful for the leaves of other trees, not even in the same banana family. Yeah. Oh, anyway, back to
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, because the banana, oh, I learned loads of stuff. I learned more than I've learned in like so long in that one day. And the teacher and the leader of the volunteers was so amazing because I just kept asking why, and like, and they genuinely enjoyed sharing all their knowledge. So it was great. But like they cut down the banana trees because once the fun fact, banana trees only flower once a year. And once they flower, they kind of don't flower again. And they might have like other shoots, but it's better for them to chop down the trees and then you slice the banana like kind of trunk in half. So, and then put it on the soil because then all of the water, it's all like water and energies. And they're like, then all of that energy goes back in the soil and goes down to the other plants that haven't like flowered yet. So it's all like putting it back into the environment. They call it syntropic farming. And I was like, oh my goodness me. And the same with like the leaves, you cut them up and put them on top of it. And so that stops the trunk from drying out in the sun. Uh, yeah, so that was like one of the best days because especially for me, I was wearing like trainers that got completely destroyed in the mud, and everyone was wearing like proper they're wearing like covers over their shoes so the leeches don't get in them. And I was like there in my little sunflower t-shirt, like I'm here with my knife, and then I cut myself for like 2 seconds, and they said, okay, go get plaster. It was just so great because it was like the complete opposite of England and so amazing. Like I think what you said before about being in nature, and I just felt like part of nature and like I was like, this is what humans are supposed to be doing, like living with nature and like in touch with it, not like trying to conquer it or do stuff to it, but just like living being in it. But yeah, it was a really bizarre experience for me as someone that has been inside for 3 years looking at a computer. So I think they were like, what is wrong with this girl? She was like, she high? And another one where I am now, whales come by uh, in the winter, which is winter now, technically speaking, but it's basically English summer. Um, and so you can see the whales coming by, and I did a circle. and I saw dolphins and whales, and it was like the best day of my life. Uh, so that is a good. Well, that was a good one because it was so hard. Surfing is incredibly hard to do. It requires a lot of energy that I don't have. And I was like, I give up. Like, this is too hard. And then I saw the dolphins. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, it was I don't know if those are helpful things to learn about Australia, but they're very like I don't know, what I really like about it is there's a real sense of community and people just seem to be like they kind of know each other. They know each other's names. And like when you go out in the street, you'll see people that you bump into and you're like, oh, hi. And yeah, seems like it's a nice place.
I
So
abs No, I absolutely love this because again, it's like you arrive and you already belong. You are already welcomed. Like and it's kind of that thing of like I know, obviously some nature somewhere is, there are animals that may not feel like you should move into their habitat. But apart from that being said, like nature always meets you exactly as you are. Nature welcomes you exactly as you are. Well, nature doesn't go, well, welcome, Leanne. However, you need to change your hair color. And by the way, if you want to be one of us, we don't want you to talk about XYZ, and you definitely mustn't bring all your feelings. Bring, please, just the ones on top, not the ones below.
yeah.
Right. So I just think, this is just obviously so incredibly healing for you. And as a byproduct of that, healing for everyone else that come into contact with you, whether just through your books, through this podcast, through the work that you do, and just through being around you. Absolutely amazing. I love it. Any final words before we wrap it up here today? Because, I want to talk to you all day, but listeners out there, anything at all. Because last time, I will say this, last time you and I did a thing, it was November. I think it was the 4th of November. It was just before your birthday last year. We were standing on the top. For some reason, we're always on the top of a building, on the top of a building in Soho House on stage. And you were sharing the very wise words that the world needs you.
Oh my God, you're right.
That was the last time. So here we are again, a few months later, or a few months into the future from back then. Are there any last words? Because, we're always changing and we're always becoming, and you are not who you were when you stood on that stage all those months ago. So do you have any amazing, I mean, you've already given a lot of golden words, but if you had just one soul message for humanity at this moment in time as this version of Leanne, what would it be?
You are allowed to be unapologetically happy. I think it was you that said that, Josie. I remember a class you did when you kept saying there's no limit on how good you're allowed to feel.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for being my wise guru. But yeah, I think like when I was talking last time and I said, like the world needs you, and it was oh, stay because there's a purpose. How I came over to Australia, I'm like, there's a purpose, I'm needed. And now what I'm trying to learn to tap into every day is to wake up and before going on like the computer and being like, what do you think I should do tap GPT? Be like, okay, what do I want to do? And like I can just go and do that. Like, and the same with for everyone else. And yeah, our minds make it very complicated, but actually, often the things that we want to do are like sit in the sun with a book, which is actually kind of accessible to a lot of us. And if it's not, then like, how can we change our environment so that that is, and like what needs to change? But I think, I think especially a big thing of coming here is like all the guilt of like choosing me of what that means for other people in different scenarios and like like obviously like people like you and like you don't want to cause like I think very often we live in a world that is like tied to being like oh it's selfish to put yourself first and like your happiness is like shouldn't come at the cost of like other people's. But then if everyone is thinking that, then everyone basically no one else is going to prioritize your happiness except you. And so uh it's not like bad or wrong or greedy or any of these things like selfish to be happy. And that's like what you just said is so beautiful, Josie, because yeah, it's recognizing you're allowed to be happy and you're allowed to enjoy your life and you don't have to just like be useful. It's funny because I've definitely seen a big change and kind of like the I think the business definitely did better when I was more miserable. I don't know why. Maybe we're all down together in the misery where I was like, I hate my life, and everyone's like, I get you. And then when I came over here, I was like, hey, you can be happy. People were like, well, you're very privileged. And I was like, I know, I'm sorry. So I kind of learned to like not share that message so much because it can, of course, I think like it is so privileged, but then also recognizing like you don't have to move to Australia to be happy and like you're allowed to like leave the party if you want, if that's going to make you happy, leave the party. If it's going to make you happy to like order food or like cook food or whatever, or like see someone and like do that thing that's going to make you happy. But at the moment my big thing is about like screens and realizing like how much they're telling us who to be, and I'm outsourcing our like autonomy to them. And so, like, even the as least time as you can possibly being on a screen, I think is a really good start in the world where, like, it feels better to be on the screen than the outside world. Like, the outside world is actually really nice if you can get into nature and, like, put your toes in some grass.
Absolutely love all of that. And especially that thing, like you said, like, because, so, the screen, again, we do all of this because we want to feel connected. We want to
Yeah.
attach. We want to feel that we're not alone in this world, right? But
Hmm.
actually, instead of going going through the screen for information, for a feeling of attachment, for a feeling of being seen, loved, heard, appreciated, we're not alone, go out of the screen, even go out of your own home, and then look at the sky and then feel the wind and feet in the ground. Like, we're connecting that way instead of, upwards and outwards, and instead of, into something where we can fall into a rabbit hole really quickly. I absolutely love that. And, truer words were never spoken. And yes, we are absolutely not just allowed, but supposed to, this thing
Hmm.
of enjoying our life. And lastly, also that thing of like, you will never have done your whole to-do list, and no one is going to thank you for it. Like, there is no,
Exactly.
I bought my first flat, right? And as we know, I love that and all of that. But part of me thought, I don't know, I think, I walked in, I had the keys. In my head, I thought people would appear out of nowhere. Like a whole thing,
Mhm.
like, I don't know, balloons.
Party.
There would be a party. People
Yeah.
would be singing. We would be like, we did it, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was there with this very empty feeling of like, oh, like all the stress and the 20 years of saving. And listen, I'm still really
Yeah.
happy with my flat, deeply grateful. But it was just a metaphor for this of like, we can do so many things because apparently it's supposed to do this thing. And then you can be left with that extremely empty feeling because it didn't give you what you thought it was going to give you. That's okay. When those things happens, we pivot. We go, okay, well, this ain't it. And there might be a slither of hope somewhere else. So, you are just the ultimate example of continuing to return back to where might there be a little bit more hope, a little more lightness following that, and also continuing to change, because change is who we are. Change is our nature. So just because what you wanted to do, be, have, spend your time with, connecting to last week, last month, last year, might not be the things that you want to do now, and that is exactly how it is supposed to be. Yeah. Thank you so much, my love. Please stay on the line. And to listeners out there, I really, really hope you guys are feeling as inspired and empowered by the gorgeous Leanne as I am. Thank you so much for your time. Listen in next week. Thank you. Thank you.